This is the Parramatta Podcast, proudly brought to you by major sponsor Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available at Parramatta Eels Club, Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty, Bo Cook from Loan Market, BTZD, the official apparel partner of the Parramatta Podcast, and the Parramatta Times, the official media partner of the Parramatta Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Parra Cave Podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Parra Cave.
And yes, hello and welcome back to another cracking episode of the Parra Cave Podcast. Troy Warner here, and this is the interview-style podcast that comes out each and every week with either a former player or a fan of rugby league or a celebrity fan of rugby league. But today it is with a former player of the greatest game of all, rugby league. Now, this player, he played for the Penrith Panthers, the Cronulla Sharks, the Sydney Roosters, the Gold Coast Titans, and also the club that I love, the Parramatta Eels. Also represented New South Wales in State of Origin and played for New South Wales Country when that was around back in the day. He played 261 games, scored 92 tries, kicked 681 goals at a very reasonable rate of 81% in his career. And I am talking about Mr. Michael Gordon. Now, Michael, during the chat, we talk about, obviously, his debut game with the Penrith Panthers, a very interesting story there, and his time there at the Panthers, which was disrupted a little bit by injury. His time at all the clubs that I named before, the Cronulla Sharks, the Parramatta Eels, the Sydney Roosters, and the Gold Coast Titans, but a little bit more in-depth sort of thing with the Parramatta Eels as well, obviously the club that I support. So his time there was in 2016, so it was very interesting to get a player's thoughts on that season as well. So we talk about obviously the salary cap drama and also playing the last ever game at Pirtek Stadium, as it was called back in the day before it got knocked down and rebuilt into CommBank Stadium, which it is today. Also playing at the Gold Coast Titans as well, which he resides up near now as well. So that was it was a really good chat about his career, a very interesting career as well for Michael. Now, also we have the personality questions, the set of 6, and also the quick top 10 as well. So a really interesting chat with Michael. I hope you really enjoy it. And of course, that wouldn't be at all possible without the help of the sponsors. The major sponsor, Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available at Parramatta Eels Club, Bo Cook from Loan Market, Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty, BTZD Teamwear, the official apparel sponsor of the Parra Cave Podcast, and also the Parramatta Times, the official media partner of the Parra Cave Podcast. More details about the sponsors after the chat with Michael. So look, it's enough of me talking at the moment. You want to hear the interview with Michael, so as Hindy says,
get a beer, coffee, whatever you want.
Sit back, relax and enjoy, and let's get straight into it.
G'day, it's Michael Gordon here, former Penrith, Parra, Cronulla, Roosters, Titans player, about to have a chat with Troy on the Parra Cave Podcast.
And as you heard from his intro, my guest today on the Parra Cave Podcast played 261 first-grade games for Penrith, Cronulla, the Sydney Roosters, the Gold Coast Titans, and the club that I love, the Parramatta Eels. Also represented New South Wales in State of Origin. 3 games also for New South Wales Country. Had a pretty good goal-kicking record as well, 81%, and scored 92 tries. Welcome to the Parra Cave Podcast, Mr. Michael Gordon.
Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. Now, born in, I think, Cooma and moving to the north of New South Wales, to Cabarita, What was growing up like for yourself?
So we moved to Cabarita Beach in 1989, and it was good. It was simple, little fish, little surfing village. Basically just surfed and skated and played footy and acted like kids. And it was a good time to grow up. Early '90s. Really great place to grow up, and got many great childhood memories up here.
So then, obviously, surfing was high on the radar as kids. How did rugby league find you, or did you find rugby league?
Well, my mum tells me the story that she wanted to put me in soccer, but I would just run around the house tackling her the whole time. So she basically put me into footy, and I was just one of them kids that I was obsessed with footy. And when you start in the under sevens, we used to my junior team wore Raiders outfits, and I never really had a team growing up, so I sort of semi-followed the Raiders then. And I was just one of them kids that would watch the old Winfield Cup VHS on repeat 24/7, and I was footy obsessed. But I also I grew up surfing and boogie boarding and skating and all that, so it was good to do all sports really.
So you mentioned the Raiders there. Who were your favourite players growing up to watch?
Well, I was a halfback growing up, so Ricky Stewart was my favourite, and that was like a great era of Panthers, Canterbury, Canberra, North Sydney, the Broncos, so many legends of the game, and that's what I sort of grew up watching, that style of footy, and it was great.
Then living up north, how did you end up at the Panthers to make your first grade debut?
So I went down when I was 18. I got picked to go down to play for West Tigers, and I would have been was Western Suburbs because I would have been Jersey Flegg because I just turned 18. And I lasted a week in Sydney and couldn't handle it and moved back up. And that was my footy dream over really. So just continued playing for the local teams and stuff, and then went up to Burleigh to try and trial out for the Queensland Cup team, because obviously Queensland Cup was a big solid comp up here, and there was no Titans then or anything. But just thought, if I'm going to have a crack, this is probably the way to do it. And didn't get picked up by Burleigh, so I went to Tweed, who was closer anyway, so that worked out better. And just played A grade the first year. I played one game of Queensland Cup and got dropped, and then the next year sort of started in A grade again, and then I got called up maybe halfway during the season, and I was playing in the centres at the time because I was slow when I was a kid, but as I got older I got a bit of speed, must have had a growth spurt or something like that. And then the year before, one of the boys I played with, Luke O'Dwyer, went to Parra for a train and trial sort of gig, and when I was actually playing really, really well, and that was sort of an option to come to Parra and do a train and trial. And then they used to televise. Sorry, my dog's just barking.
That's all good.
They used to televise one game a week on ABC TV, and we played East Brisbane, which used to be Johnny Lang's former team. I had a really good game, and that just sort of got the ball rolling. And then all of a sudden, Penrith offered me a 2-year deal. So,
nice. Now, your first grade debut was against Cronulla. What do you remember about your debut game for the Panthers? What stood out for you?
Well, the thing that stood out the most was I found out about 3 hours before kickoff, which was probably ideal in a way, because I debuted the same game as Paul Adon. He was a hooker, a little PNG hooker, and he knew all week he was playing, so he had all week to prepare and get nervous and get the family and all that sort of stuff. And I was actually having a shower and getting ready to go down and play reserve grade, and got the call saying, "No, you're playing first grade tonight." And I'm like, I thought they were just taking the piss, So I had my shower, went down, getting ready as if I was playing reserve grade, and they're like, "No, I think Mark O'Halloran couldn't pass a fitness test that day or something." So I was last man standing, basically.
Nice. Well, a couple of weeks later, you score your first try against Parramatta. Just what was it like playing against Parramatta during your career, particularly when you were at Penrith?
Oh, the Penrith and Parra clashes were always just, packed stadiums. It was they're two fierce rivals, and Battle of the West, all that sort of stuff. And I do remember my first try because it was Jared Haynes' debut game for Parra. And I scored against him, so that's probably the only time I got one over him in my whole career. So, that was my first try, and I just remember that. Particularly Parra and Penrith, they were always just like semi-final, like they were just so intense, and the crowds were always massive, and it didn't matter where either team was sitting on the ladder. It was just always such a tough game.
Is there any particular Parramatta Penrith game that stands out, or is it just that one where you scored your first try?
Oh, no, I had so many great games against Parra, and even when I was playing with Parra against Penrith, but not like they were all just equally stood out. I think there was one at Penrith Stadium where I scored maybe one or two tries, and I think we ended up coming from behind to win. But a lot of the times in those derbies, I generally was on the losing end, so I tried not to remember them.
So what was it like playing for Parra against Penrith? Was there an equal sort of dislike for the other side, or had it changed by then?
As a player, I don't dislike anyone really. So, but it was more, the supporter bases and the way it's sort of drummed up as the Battle of the West. And then obviously, I'd played plenty for Penrith against Parra, and then I had one season at Parra, and then against Penrith, I could still feel the rivalry and all that sort of stuff between the two teams. But for me, it was, even though there are more intense games and all that sort of stuff, for me, it was just another game. But I always loved it, whatever side I was on. Yeah,
for me, a Parra fan living in Penrith, that's my favourite game of the year at Penrith Stadium. So
I could imagine.
Love it. Now, you sort of had a bit of a rough time cracking it for first grade in those first 5 years at Penrith, but then you played some pretty consistent football. Did you think then that once you started playing that consistent footy that you had made first grade sort of thing?
I think it's one of those things. It's like, whether it's 50 or 100 games, I was happy to play one, and then, I played 108 for Penrith. So, it wasn't until, probably well over 50 games where I felt like an established first grader finally, sort of thing. And probably wasn't until I hit 100 where I'm like, I'm seeming to make a career out of this sort of thing. So the dream was to always play one, and I never thought that was going to be possible. And then I just tried to appreciate every game I got, because I had plenty of injuries along the way, and you never know which one's your last. So.
Well, just before we get the State of Origin, 2011 and 12 were pretty tough years for yourself. As you mentioned just then, injuries, including an ACL. How did you get through that, both mentally and I suppose you had a good support network around you?
Yeah, so it was 2010 I played game 3 of Origin, and then I come out of that series at Penrith, and just my form just went through the roof. I was playing some of the best footy of my life, and then 2011 I pretty much started in the same form, and just felt like I was just the game was different then to what it is now, obviously, but I just felt like I was just playing really well. And it was the week that the Origin teams were getting selected, and that's when I'd done my ACL. So that was not saying I would have got picked, but I was in better form, if anything, to give myself a chance. And that one was hard to. It was weird because it was like round 10 or 11, and then I knew with the ACL you're sort of looking at 6 months straight away. So, well, that puts me at the start of preseason, so I could sort of do the whole rehab process, and then when preseason starts, I'll have a full preseason under my belt, so then I can start 2012 like flying, So, and then that was the start of 2012. So like I said, I'd just come off the ACL, had a great preseason, had 2 really great trials, and then it was round 1, 20 minutes into the game, got a broken leg. That one was real hard, that one, because first game back, and I was off contract and all that sort of stuff. Phil Gould and Ivan Cleary had just come to the club, and just those things sort of when you're on the sidelines can certainly have negative effects on you. But with the ACL, when I first done it, my son was a month or 2 old, so I basically sat on the lounge with him every day. So it was the silver lining. Yeah, so for me, it was as bad of an injury as it was. I couldn't have timed it better in that sense. So just spent every day with him and a lot of time with him, which was great. And then the 2012 one was just harder mentally, just because of, like I said, all that off contract stuff. New coaches, new CEOs, all that stuff. But then I'm always a pretty positive person, and I try and see the best out of everything. So once I sort of got past that initial stage, I was pretty good.
Well, let's go back to something positive, the State of Origin. And as you said, 2010, you made Game 3 in Sydney. Did you ever think that you were going to play State of Origin? And was that a goal of yours, or was that just something that you thought, if I play good, I might get a chance?
Oh, a bit of both. I think, as a kid, you want to play for the Blues and Australia sort of thing. And, and I could have played for New Zealand because my mum's a Kiwi, but
okay.
I sort of felt like I would have disrespected the New Zealand jersey if I did, because, some players, do it from their grandmother's side or whatever. And I had a genuine claim because my mum's a diehard Kiwi.
Yep.
I just felt like I wanted to play Origin. I never thought it would have happened, but I just, and then that was in the middle of Queensland's dominance of 8 in a row or whatever. So every time you'd watch the Blues lose, you'd just be like, oh, man, put me in there, or, I could, and everyone thinks they can do better. And, we lost, of course, but just one of those things. It's like you always dreamed of it. And even though it was a dead rubber, for me, it was still the pinnacle of footy, and, and the intensity and the speed and everything. It certainly lived up to every expectation I had.
Now, obviously, it's a massive achievement to make State of Origin. Unfortunately, you only played one game. Is that a disappointment during your career, or do you think maybe because of 11 and 12 played a part?
That was, basically had 2 season-ending injuries. So I look at it that, it's rare for people to play first grade, and then to play Origin's even rarer. So, I was fortunate enough to play one, and maybe unfortunate not to play more. But, on the back of 2 season-ending injuries, I'd sort of put myself, probably off the radar for a while after that.
Now, coming off contract at Penrith with those injuries, and then Cronulla pick you up, was that the only choice that you had, or you wanted to go there because of the beaches?
There's a bit of that. I could have stayed at Penrith. I had an offer to stay there still, but there'd been a few years before where I felt like, I could have got more money and I didn't, and, that sort of stuff. And I was always one of them people that once I sign a contract, it's done, I can't sit there and go, well, I'm playing better, I deserve more money. It's like, no, I signed the contract, so I'll honour it. And, I suppose the opportunity, I think because I'd been at Penrith 8 years, and I think I needed a change personally. And then, I got a 3-year offer from Cronulla, so it was like, moving to the beach, that sort of stuff. It just made sense at the time.
What do you think was the main difference between the Penrith team and the Cronulla team at that time?
Not a lot. Because at Penrith we were sort of, not a battling club, but we were sort of battling at the time. They're not the powerhouse they are now with the, the academies and they always had the junior talent and that sort of stuff. But, we were 2010 we finished second, but there was a couple of years where we got the wooden spoon or close to it, and then Cronulla was sort of the same position. They were getting better every year, and they were always just sort of that real gritty, grindy sort of team. And I thought, well, there's nothing flash about my footy, so it might suit me down there.
Was it hard to concentrate on your football with all the ASADA stuff that was going on at the time, on and off the field?
Oh, well, yeah, because when we got there, none of that had come out. So it was, a few weeks into pre-season when that all broke loose, and that went on for 2 years. So it obviously affected the players that were still there and the coaching staff that were there and, support staff. And you could see it was just an absolute circus, like ridiculous. And obviously the AFL went through the same thing. And, just remember, like, every day at training, just the amount of media and all that sort of stuff. But it actually made the playing group and everyone involved a lot closer, because there was times where there'd be little bits of segregation, because it'd be like that crew who was there would have to go have meetings and stuff, and the rest of us sort of twiddling our thumbs. But overall as a club, it nearly broke the club, but it sort of certainly brought the playing group and everyone closer together.
And Shane Flanagan was the head coach at the time. We see him back next year in the NRL coaching the Dragons. What was Flano like as a coach?
Yeah, I always got along with him really well. He had some really good assistants there, but obviously he took him to the premiership as well. So I think and that was just the most amazing thing for the club. And as Penrith and all of them are, it was such a real community club, and there's just so many people behind the scenes that when you see that sort of stuff, you can't be nothing but happy for them and for the club and that sort of stuff.
Did you feel you played a little bit of a part in their success in winning the premiership? And could you sense that something was maybe brewing a little bit by 2016?
Oh, yeah, I certainly didn't play a part in the year they won the GF, but, in 2015, even with the Asada stuff, we finished 5th, and, mate, I thought we could have won the comp that year.
Yep.
2014, we got the wooden spoon, and then 2015, we finished 5th again. We should have finished 4th, but I hit the post for a conversion, so it made us finish 5th. So, but again, even that year, 2015, we were capable of winning the comp, and we went up and got rolled by the Cowboys pretty convincingly, who went on to win the comp.
It's always probably a little bit of a consolation when the team that beats you goes on to win the comp, I guess.
Yeah, you can look at it at the time, you're not happy about
it.
But,
no, definitely not. No. How did the move to Parramatta come across in 2016?
It was Peter Sharp who took over for Flano when he was sort of stood down. He went over to Parra as recruitment guy, and there was talk of me going over potentially mid-season in 2015.
Okay.
And then that sort of didn't happen. But Sharpie was like, no, we sort of, because Gutho was there, but he was sort of, the young kid coming through, and I think they just wanted, I was an old fart at the time, so they just wanted someone with a bit of stability and that sort of thing there. And it was just purely conversations with him and Brad Arthur, and made the move over there and back out to the glorious West. And again, I had such a good time there, but again, drama followed me there with the whole salary cap thing again. Or was it I don't know. It was something
salary cap.
Office for something that happened 4 years ago, and we're just like, bloody hell, I can't catch a break at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. Though I think that news broke on my birthday that year, and a great birthday present, that one. But you guys would have made the semi-finals if you didn't have those points taken off. So
good year, and we played such good footy the whole year. I think we would have finished 4th or 5th with the amount of wins we had. But starting on -12 is always going to be hard to catch up. So
yeah, definitely.
But again, I just had so much fun there, and great bunch of blokes. Great coaching staff. Actually, the assistant there, Steve Murphy, he was my coach at Tweed when I played Queensland Cup. So it was good to come full circle with old Murph. He's a legend.
Yeah, no, he's still there. He's still there under BA. You got a funny Steve Murphy story?
Oh, probably none that could go out in public. He's just such a good bloke, and he's just always a larrikin, and he hasn't changed since I played with him in 2003 and 4. He's still exactly the same. He's just a really good, genuine bloke.
I think he got in trouble, was it last year, running across in front of the post when Nathan Cleary was taking the kick, I think.
Not at all,
His boss, Brad Arthur, what is he like as a coach? And do you think he can take Parramatta to a premiership?
For sure, mate. He was really good. He's obviously got a real hard edge to him, but he's his understanding and his knowledge of the game is second to none. And they're bloody close last year, and they've got all the makings of a great side. It's just for whatever reason they just seem to be falling at the final hurdle. And at the moment, there's a good reason with that Panthers team. No one can stop them at the moment. But I think that, mate, they've got everything there to definitely win a comp.
Yeah, because he played apparently such a big role in that 2016 salary cap drama, trying to hold the club together and get the players on board and concentrate on playing. You had, as you mentioned, Clint Gutherson there. He's now the captain of Parra. Could you see at a young age, could you see his leadership qualities?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, they don't call him the king for nothing, mate. Especially, I notice a lot of that stuff in pre-season when it's just a grind and it's hard work, and then even on the field, his work rate, his effort, his energy, his desire, his competitiveness, it's all there, and it was there from the day I walked in there, and he's just such a good bloke as well. So, he's the perfect captain for that team.
That last game at Parramatta Stadium versus the Dragons, was that a special game to play in before the stadium got knocked down?
It was, and for me, I only had 1 year at Parra, but I everywhere I went, I fully embraced it. Like if you go there kicking stones, you're gonna have a shit time, and I went there and fully embraced it. We had a million challenges thrown at us, but I scored a try in that last game, so that's my little claim to fame there. So
it certainly was a cracker of a game. I was there, and one of my favourite tries is, I think, Bevan French's try. I think Tucker kicked it inside, and he went in. But you were Parramatta's top point scorer that year. What are your favourite memories of playing at Parramatta?
Oh, I just think the history of Parra. Like I said, I was born in '83. Great year for Parra. So watching early days of footy was Sterling, Kenny, Cronin, the Parra, dominance. Them and the Bulldogs in the '80s, obviously, and obviously Manly were right up there. But them two clubs won all the premierships in that decade, and just the history of the club, and again, like I said, I bought into every club I went to. When I was at Penrith, I thought I was going to be a one club man, but it just sort of never worked out that way. And then I ended up turning into be, getting to play for a few clubs, which, you can look at it both ways. But for me, I got to experience just so many different staff and players and coaches and, sort of communities and all that. So I sort of look at it all in a positive way.
Do they teach you the history of clubs when you go to them for new players?
Some do. I'm sure they're probably better at it now, especially like Parra. I know when I went to the Roosters, all new players, we had to do a history lesson with Trent Robbo, which was really good. Just the history of not just the Roosters club, but the area of the eastern suburbs themselves and all that sort of stuff. And that sort of stuff I really enjoyed as well. So again, just buying into every club has their own identity, and if you're not on board, then there's no point being there. So,
well, speaking of the Roosters, you went there after Parra on a 1 year deal. Did you leave Parra because of the salary cap drama, or they only offered you one deal?
No, because they basically were told me that they wanted Bevan to be the long term. And again, I didn't care if I didn't play fullback. That wasn't an issue. But the Roosters needed a fullback at the time. So I was like, pack the bags again and move on over. And again, went there, fully embraced it, and absolutely loved it there. Just, again, obviously the coaching staff, and Robbo is one of the best coaches of the modern era. But, just the support staff, and this one thing every club does really well is, their welfare people and all that. Like, they just make everything as easy as possible for you. Like when you're moving, your family, your kids, and getting houses, schools, all that sort of stuff. Like they do so much for you, and they're the people that always hold the most special place in my heart. Is all the support staff, the behind the scenes people. So.
Yeah, no, they play a massive part in rugby league clubs, no doubt. Was it only the 1 year at the Roosters to make way for James Tedesco to come into the side? Or?
Signed after Tedesco had signed, so I'd re-signed at the Roosters. So I was going to, wing centre off the bench. I didn't really care. I just loved the club so much, and I knew we lost in the preliminary that year, and I thought we could have won the comp that year. And I was like, and then with Tedesco coming, I'm like, once Robbo gets his hands on him, he's going to just go even better than what he was, And I'm like, no, they're going to win the comp. And I'm obviously at the back end of my career here. So I'd re-sign knowing Tedesco was coming, just because I knew what position the club was in and how good they were going. And then I made more of a family decision to leave, because I had re-signed, and asked for a release or break contracts and that. But then they offered to come to the Titans, because I obviously just lived down the road. So to move where I grew up, and they were offering me 2 years up there, and I'm at the end of my career, and for me it was, all right, well, I've got 2 years to bust my ass off, but also settle back into my local community and sort of look at life after footy.
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, you signed with the Gold Coast. That must have been good to get back up near home and play first grade rugby league.
Yeah, because we bought land up here in 2014 and all my mates built a house for me,
Nice
and then,
mates.
see, I paid them.
Yeah.
But no, because all my mates home are all tradies, so I'm like, well, I'm going to use know and trust. So, built our dream home back up here and moved straight in. My dad was living in there at the time, so he wasn't too happy about getting kicked out. But so moved back there, and the drive up each day was like 40 minutes. So I was like, mate, I'm happy driving home each day to where I grew up, and kids getting a chance to grow up where I did, and all that sort of stuff. And for me, it was just a fitting way to finish.
The Gold Coast has got a little bit of a sort of a bad rap, sort of in terms of they haven't reached their potential in terms of obviously they made finals, but they haven't made a grand final yet. It's a tough place to play up there, but no doubt next year with Des Hasler heading up there, how do you think they'll go next year with Des going up there?
Yeah, well, I thought when Holbrook signed, he was going to be the one to take him to that next level, and then even the decision this year for him to get stood down and Desi coming in, I'm like, that's the best kept secret in rugby league, because not even a whisper of it. So I sort of thought he was under pressure, at the end of the year if they didn't make the semis or whatever, and it's obviously a brave call from the board and the CEO and all that, but you got someone like Des with his resume, then. If he can't get the best out of him, then, who else are they going to get, really? So,
but that was a bit of,
great facilities. They've got great talent. I sort of see some similarities with the Broncos. Like, they're a real young team. They've got a young pack, great outside back. So if they can all stick together for a few years, then they can really be a powerhouse.
Yeah, well, definitely they've signed Big Tino and David Fafita for a few more years, and obviously Des coming on board as well. So the only thing I don't like about the Titans is their ground's out the middle of nowhere. But
it's in the middle of the Gold Coast.
Yeah, I know, but you got to travel out there to get there. But that's all good. That's all good. My auntie lives out on Palm Beach, so I just stay with her and she drops me in.
That's the best way to do it because there's no parking there. It's a nightmare to drive to, but everyone sort of seems to park wherever and catch the train in. But right in terms of stadiums and grounds, it's one of the best in the country. It's just the best field. So
why don't they sometimes not open up the ends? They're just not getting enough supporters there, or
doing that with the soccer, I think, or the football. I think consistently the last sort of 5+ years, that it's never the ends that are closed off sort of thing. It was I don't know, or maybe there was always one. I think actually there was one end that was always closed off, but they seem to be pretty consistently getting decent crowds in there now. So
let's certainly hope so. Did you know that at the end of your playing career, that it was time to finish, and was it disappointing to finish on a wooden spoon note?
Oh, disappointing in that sense, but I was 36, 37, I've had 12 surgeries over my career. Body fitness wise and everything, I still felt fine. It was more the game day, just like not so much anxiety, but just knowing that I'm about to put my body through hell for 80 minutes, that was starting to wear thin, and then having all the AJs and all them kids coming through, I might all I'm doing is slowing the team down, really. So I had a couple of random injuries at the end there too. So it was just like, I think it was my body saying, mate, it's time to give it up.
Well, as I said in the intro, during your career, you had an 81% goal kicking rate, which is pretty good. It's one of the highest. What's the secret to kicking goals?
Oh, well, I think it's like anything. If you overcomplicate it, the harder it is. So just keep it simple, mate. You can see, obviously Nathan Cleary's just ridiculous. Adam Reynolds, there's so many great kickers these days because of the amount of practice everyone does. But, you'd see people with all these extravagant run-ups and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, mate, all you're doing is creating more margin for error. So I was just like 3 steps back, 3 to the left, just tap, tap, bloody go in and kick it. So
Did you have Graham Arnold as a kicking coach at one stage?
did, yes, because I'd never had a kicking coach before, and he was at Penrith when I was there. So
Okay.
yeah, that was my sort of first introduction to a goal kicking coach, and his approach was good. It was, obviously he didn't have the rugby league background, but his was all striking, and obviously, yeah, they strike the ball more than anyone, soccer players. So
Yeah, it's just interesting that he was a goal kicking coach when they use a round ball, and we've got an oval ball, I guess.
clubs maybe just had a personal relationship with some of the staff or something. I don't know the background to that part, but I don't think he was at many clubs. So, and then obviously Darryl Halligan is probably the most prominent goal kicking coach. He works for several clubs, sort of thing, and yeah, he was a great kicker in his day too.
Yeah, for sure. Now, post footy, you had a few personal challenges that we won't get into, but how did you get through that? Because no doubt that would have been tough for yourself and for your family as well.
Yeah, it was probably more the pressure on my family. For me, I'm pretty, I knew, like, obviously I'd made a mistake, but I knew what the media was saying was not even true. So, and because I was at my home community where I grew up, I never once had one friend question it, so having that sort of support and being around family and friends, for me, it was not too bad. It was more the external noise and that sort of stuff. A lot of pressure on the kids and the missus at the time and all that sort of stuff. We took the kids out of school for a bit, but once we sat down with the teachers and, that sort of stuff, and explained everything to them, everyone was pretty good, and the other thing was it just dragged on for so long. Within a month, and it ended up dragging on close to 2 years, and that was the hardest thing in the end. And I didn't say a word publicly, and all that, because I just wanted it to be done legally before I said anything. And then in the end, I just, as everyone does, use the social media. So I'm like, well, this is my version of events. And, I'm not trying to sit here and say I'm an angel or anything like that. I'm like, I made a mistake, but I tried to own up for it. But what was getting said about me was completely false. And that was all I needed to say. I didn't need to comment any more on it. And that was it.
So you knew what was going on. How was your relationship during your playing career with the media then? Like, do they twist stories to get a story?
Any media, and obviously I learnt that early at Penrith because I saw some headlines with stuff about me, and I was like, hang on, that's not right. And then I'd see it more with friends with contract stuff and all that sort of thing, where you'd see media stuff where you knew the real story and you're just like, hang on, what's going on here? So and I'd done a couple of media training sessions early in my career too, so I think that really helped me a lot, just to understand, how they work. And, nothing's ever off the record. But I built up a really good rapport with several reporters and, sort of Fox News and Channel 9 presenters and that sort of stuff. So I could have casual conversations with them knowing that, nothing was getting put out there. But, you just always got to be cautious because, as you see with any news article these days, it's what the headline says and what the article says sometimes most of the time are two different things,
Yeah, that's it. And what about now? How's life treating yourself? What's keeping you busy?
So when I finished at the Titans, I captain coached my junior club for a couple of years. That was I wanted to do it when I first retired, so I still was in some form of footy shape still, and I loved it. Playing with. We train Tuesday, Thursday we have a barbecue and a beer after the session, and turning up on Sunday and just playing for the love of it again. No one got paid and all that sort of stuff, and it was really like the best way to finish my football career was with the club where it all started for me.
Nice. How did you captain coach the team? How difficult is that? Like, is there someone, obviously there's an assistant coach on the sideline to do replacements and stuff?
It was an absolute nightmare because we were still sort of dealing with like COVID regulations in a way.
Yeah.
And we had the floods up here the second year. So the hardest thing's at training because, on a Tuesday you might get 15 people to train and you're trying to coach 3 grades with 15 people and you're like, how's this going? And luckily I had some of my closest mates on the sideline who I'd grown up with. So like I'm on the field sort of, basically directing the team, but then he would make the interchanges for me and all that sort of stuff.
Okay,
but it was good. I loved it, and for me it was just all about giving back to my junior club and the local comp and that sort of thing. And I really enjoyed it.
Was coaching ever something that you thought you might wanted to keep on doing, perhaps, maybe, or?
I always, and I think anyone who thinks about coaching thinks, I was fortunate to play under many great coaches, and you always think, if I was a coach one day, I'd take a bit of this and a bit of that and sort of do my own thing. And I was lucky when I finished at the Titans. I had 1 year as an assistant coach there, which was probably the perfect transition because I was the blue shirt, so I was running the water.
Okay,
but
yeah,
you always see how much work the coaches do, but an assistant, mate, it's a pretty gritty job. We were in there well before the players and well after the players, and but I did enjoy that aspect, and you can see the technical side and how you sort of dissect the game from a different angle completely, and then you'd show the players video and stuff like that. It was really rewarding in a lot of senses. But I think, looking at the pressure that comes with coaching, I'm just like, no, you can keep that.
Was it difficult sort of coaching players that you'd played with, or they just happy to listen and soak it in?
Because, like I said, I was 37, I think 37 when I retired, so I was well and truly the older bloke anyway. And for me, it was a pretty easy transition because, I hope they respected me because they certainly showed me respect in terms of that side of things. So it was nice. But I think it would be difficult if you went from playing to a head coach sort of thing. Yeah, because that's a whole nother level sort of thing. But I think I take my hat off to coaches because the assistants do a lot of the grunt work, but they're dealing with the board, sponsors, players. They're basically man managers these days, and the best coaches are the best man managers.
Do you think clubs need a person that's been connected to that club as a coach or assistant coaches, or they can be brought in from outside?
It's yes and no, like just because they're a club icon doesn't mean they're a great coach, but I think certainly in the junior developments or, supporting roles, having people that have had a history with the clubs, certainly good thing to have because they've been there the longest and they can sort of, point out certain things, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing. But I think, if you've got a little element of the past and former players or whatever in there, it certainly helps for sure. But
Who was your favourite coach to play under?
It's like asking who my favourite club was. They all have their good and bad sides. And all coaches are cranky buggers. So
who was the crankiest?
Geez, probably Johnny Lang.
Okay.
He was a very cranky man, but also just a really good bloke as well, and you could say the same about every coach, and it's the same as every club. Is when I went there, I fully invested in the club and the coach. So whoever that was, they had my full attention, full respect. And one thing I was always, and still am, a pretty quiet bloke, but I was always a sponge. So I was always just absorbing as much knowledge as possible, really. So I think for me, I took pleasure out of every coach I had. Yeah.
And for the Parramatta fans listening, does BA have a good spray in him?
Oh, what do you reckon?
Yes.
He's the sort of bloke that you'd run through a brick wall for, So you just like, and he's, but again, as soon as footy's off, it's like, let's have a beer, or we're going fishing, or we're doing whatever. They've all got that real good human side to them. But obviously there's so much pressure with coaching an NRL team and a club like Parra, even more so. And of course he's got a good spray in him, but again, a coach that you want to play for. So I love copping a spray. Man, I've done something wrong and I want to be told about it. So that's probably the trickiest part these days, is you got to know which players to spray and which players you sort of need to nurse a bit and which ones need a cuddle. And it's
tough gig for sure.
players with 40 different personalities. You can take that job.
Yeah, nah, definitely. What do you think of the game today compared to when you played?
It's one of them things. I always sort of don't criticise the game, but it's the only sport I can think of where they consistently change the rules every year. You know, it's like it worked pretty good for 108 years. Why do we need to change the rules every year now? You know, so but I can see what they're trying to do by trying to eliminate the wrestle, bring up the speed of the game, and all that sort of stuff. I suppose I remember when I was at Parra, I got interviewed and they said, if you were CEO for a day, what would you get rid of? And I said, I would have got rid of the bunker straight away, and everyone laughed at me. But now it's always the biggest controversy of every game, just about. So I think that's probably the only blight I have on the game and it's just the inconsistencies with the technology and the officiating of those certain things. Like look at the hip drop, shepherd, that sort of stuff. That's where, I'm a perennial fence sitter. I never really had a team growing up, so I still don't really support a team now. I just enjoy footy, but I can see diehard fans how a try one week can be a shepherd the next, and people getting 10 in the bin for a hip drop, and just those little things are probably the only thing I don't like about the game. But in terms of you look at the grand final the other night, it was fast, it was furious, it was amazing, spectacular, and what a cracking game,
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Just with the hip drops, were they around when you were playing?
Well, that's how I broke my ankle, but I got up and played hobbled off. It's just it happened. Like me trying to tackle Big Nelson, mate, I'm going for his legs. Look at the size of him. It's just no one goes out to try and hurt someone, and it's like the way they fall from behind, but it's like you can't disappear in a tackle, It's like obviously they got rid of the cannonball because it was definitely a deliberate act at going low and not necessarily trying to intentionally hurt people, but it caused a lot of damage. And the hip drop's you're gonna get broken ankles and probably ACLs and knee issues and that sort of stuff. So obviously you want to eliminate it, but there's some where you just can't do a thing about it. And some of the ones I saw getting sin binned early, I was just like,
what's going on?
And as a fan, like I said, I'm a very neutral supporter, but I was watching it just going, how can that be 10 in the bin, the team who's playing, what are their fans thinking, So that's probably that, and I'm sure they'll figure it out.
Well, I'm 100% with you on that one. I'm not a player. I haven't been a player, but I played in junior days. But I know that players don't go out to intentionally injure other players, and I'm so confused about this hip drop tackle because, as you said, if you've got a player like Nelson, you're going to try and get him down any way possible. I mean, if you let a try in for not tackling him because of fear of hip drop tackle or sin bin.
Well, because you see the classic ones where they get penalised a lot is where they've made good contact up top, and then the player's got great leg drive, and they're sort of slipping off, and then they sort of fall on him. It's well, you can't just mid-air turn into Superman and roll out of the way. It's just it's
definitely a confusing one, that's for sure. We'll rock on with some common league questions. Is there a favourite try or favourite goal that stands out for you that you kicked?
Oh, favourite try? Not sure, actually. I was lucky enough just to be on the wing a lot of time and just catch it and put it down. But I think I scored, maybe 2 or 3 good individual tries. Actually, there was a game when I was at Penrith. We played South, and I scored a hat-trick, and I scored a couple of good tries in that one. And I held the record for the most points in the game until, of course, it was never going to last Cleary around. So I think I've still got him in for points for a season, but no, that won't last long either. So, that game was certainly memorable. And there was a game with the Roosters. I had plenty of goals where I had to either kick to win or kick to draw, and I was on both sides. I've missed plenty, and then I got plenty as well. So there was a game with the Roosters where we were in Adelaide, and I had 2 crucial kicks from the sideline to get us within 6, and then we scored on the siren, and I had to kick from the other sideline to get us to Golden Point. I just remember, and again, I think because I was older, I sort of appreciated the moment a lot more, and we won in Golden Point, luckily. But I think that was certainly one of one of my better goals. So
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, they must be the biggest pressure kicks, those ones from the sideline to win the game. Obviously, we saw JT in 2015.
Anyone who goal kicks, even if it's just down at the park, you say it to win the grand final from the sideline.
That's right. You don't want that. You don't want that.
Rain and everyone. Sorry, you go.
No, I was just going to say, you mentioned Nathan Cleary there, but if you had a choice of a goal kicker to kick one from the sideline to win a grand final, who would you bet on to get it?
Well, you would say he's the obvious choice. He never looks like missing, And I was going to say JT was probably one of the best clutch kickers I ever saw. He was probably the worst form of goal, just with that banana. I don't know how
it's crazy, wasn't it?
Just, and obviously that 2015 GF, he hit the post, but like so many big Origin games and all that, he just seemed to will it through, and then you go a bit further back, you look at someone who was real clutch, was Hazem El Masri or Daryl Halligan,
Yeah, for sure. Is there a favourite game that you played in, one that stands out, one you thought that, I really love that game?
I loved every game except there was a few absolute hidings where you try and forget those ones, but I suppose just playing in the Battle of the West, at the Roosters, playing in that Anzac Day, that was a great experience.
Yeah, for sure.
Time you got to play semis, my one Origin game. There's them games when you're winning Golden Point, they always sort of have an extra feeling to them, because I've been in plenty where we'd lost in Golden Point, and that's a hollow feeling. So I think all them sort of bigger games, especially like the rivalry ones, so like Parra Penrith. When I was at Cronulla, it was Cronulla versus Dragons at the Chooks, obviously playing South Sydney, or that Anzac game. Those sort of ones always sort of stand out a bit more.
And other than your home ground, did you have a favourite ground that you used to love to play at?
I actually like playing all the away grounds because, goal kicker, because you just get absolutely everyone. And then, because you can't really give them too much banter, but I used to sort of have a smile with them, and then if I missed a kick from the sideline, they'd spray even more, and if I got one, I'd always sort of turn around and never be cheeky or rude, but just try and play along with them, because you can't really turn around and give them the finger or anything. I love the energy of the crowds, and home crowd, it's obviously on your favour, and then away crowds, but just that energy that you can get from the crowd, or or if you're playing good at an away game, how you can sort of silence a crowd, So
is there any sneaky sledge that you can remember when kicking from the sideline?
Oh, mate, plenty, mate, but nothing I could say repeat. But some of them were just so funny, and like in the middle or about to start kicking, I'd have to just wait a bit long because I'd be actually laughing. I'm like, bloody hell, you're good there, and you're just like, all right, just calm yourself down again and then go off, But no, I always loved that banter, and I loved the crowds, and good and bad. It was great.
What about did you have a least favourite ground that you hated playing at?
Well, probably Brookie in a way, but to say it's twofold, because I love the crowd because they were just crazy, but the ground itself, the actual surface was always pretty ordinary. But I went there this year, and it was in really good nick. They've obviously done it all up, but that was always a notoriously bad ground. And Newcastle, before they done up the stadium, mate, those sheds, they'd spray them with cold water, I'm sure, and not pleasant. So
yes, I have heard that trick before. Now, you mentioned Big Nelson before, but who would have been the hardest player to tackle?
Mate, I'm 85 kilos. They're all hard to tackle.
I bet.
And they're all built like brick shit houses. They run very quick, and just like I've always found, not that I made a lot of tackles, I was always hiding out wide or out the back, but like the forwards were generally always easy because they just run straight, but you get someone like Roger Tuivasa-Sheck or someone like that with the footwork where you're just like clutching at thin air, and you're just like, what just happened? They've just embarrassed me, so I got embarrassed a lot in my career. So.
Don't worry, I couldn't tackle either. I was hopeless at it. I was always a small one. They just ran over the top of me, so couldn't tackle for my life. Who was, speaking about tackling, who was the hardest hitter? Who got you a good one?
Oh, mate, pretty much the same answer. Look at the size of me. But I remember, I got flogged many times in my career. But I remember when I first come down, I was playing reserve grade, and I was playing fullback and took a kick return again. Didn't know who anyone was, and I was just running straight and hard. And Nigel Plum just folded me.
Oh, yeah.
You obviously know what he become on to be, just his technique and all that. Someone like that just absolutely folded me, and I think I laid on the ground for probably 10 minutes with the worst winding of my life, So
Did you get to play with him at Penrith?
I played with him at Penrith, yeah.
Yeah, did you remind him of that? Saying, "Oh, lucky you're on my side."
And the funny thing was, he was the goal kicker for the Roosters at the time too.
Wow! How come he didn't goal kick at Penrith? Is that because you were there?
Oh mate, he was taped together with more tape than the bloody mummy by the end, So.
Yeah, no, his name has come up a few times, that's for sure. Speaking of playing fullback and wing, who was the hardest to catch a bomb from?
Oh, mate, they all hit them torps really well these days, but back then, it was sort of not many of them did it. I think I always seemed to struggle with the left foot kickers for some reason because it'd spiral the other way. There was a couple of left footers that had Jared Mullen. I remember if he put up a good torpy, it was hard to get, and you look at them all now, they all do the floaters and they all do it well. Cooper Cronk, they were always hard to defend against Melbourne because you had Cameron Smith out of dummy half, who you're always worried about his kick, but then, one pass it's to Cronk and he kicks a 40-20 the other side and you're like, you can't be everywhere. So they were always hard to defend against kicking-wise. But, the big spiral ones, even Michael Morgan, he could hit a couple of cracking ones too.
Yeah, that's for sure. Now, your nickname Flash is a pretty obvious one with, the movie Flash Gordon. Is there another one that you go by that someone gave to you?
No, I just mate, not one person back home has ever called me Flash.
Okay.
Nickname back here is just Gordo or Mickey, really. So.
Yeah.
But the Flash thing obviously just tied in with the Flash Gordon, and I was fast previously before I had so many surgeries. But it was good at Penrith. So whenever I'd score, they'd play the Flash Gordon theme song and that. So it was just something to. Yeah, just always a bit of a laugh. And, in the footy world, I was always known as Flash, but not one of my mates has ever called me Flash back home.
Fair enough. If you didn't go down the rugby league path, what do you think you'd be doing as a career?
I'd probably be the same as all my mates, a tradie. I was doing my landscaping horticulture apprenticeship before I started, so I probably would have been along those lines. Yeah, I've own a coffee shop now, so I'm pretty much just sort of cruising in that, and it's something along those lines.
Nice. Well, we'll just finish off. We've got the quick top 10 and the set of 6 questions. So the quick top 10 is just basically 2 options and a sort of a yes, no, and you can elaborate on them if you want to. But we'll start off with cats or dogs.
Dogs.
Ford or Holden.
Ford.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Absolutely.
Well, seeing as though you own a coffee shop, you'll probably say coffee, but tea or coffee?
Yeah, coffee.
All right, let's elaborate on that one a little bit. What is your go-to coffee?
Well, I drink long blacks at home. I'm a very simple man. I grew up on instant coffee, but if I go to a cafe, I generally just get a triple shot flat white or something like that. So,
okay, yeah. Nice. I'm a flat white guy. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars.
Rambo or Rocky?
Rambo. Peanut
butter or Vegemite?
Oh, that's tough. They both are great. I'll go Vegemite.
Nice. Are you a morning or night person?
Definitely morning.
Coke or Pepsi?
Pepsi Max.
Okay, yeah. And Seinfeld or Friends?
I've never watched an episode of Friends in my life, so there's your answer. I love Seinfeld.
Yeah, nah. Who's your favourite Seinfeld character?
Oh, it'd have to be George.
George, okay, yeah. Nah, he's a classic. Mine's Kramer. I love Kramer. Yeah. Great show. And we'll wrap things up with a set of 6. Now, I have to maybe change this one. Other than surfing and rugby league, what's your favourite sport?
I love playing tennis.
Okay, yeah.
Skateboarding, tennis. I pretty much dabbled in everything, yeah.
Nice. Favourite holiday destination?
That's a tough one because, again, I just got back from a surf trip to the Mentawais, but I love, New Zealand. That's a... Yeah, I'll say Europe at the moment.
Okay, yeah. Do you base your holidays on surfing or just wherever you want it?
Obviously, this was a pure surfing trip. I wouldn't take the family on that one because you're on a deserted island. There's nothing to do with surf. So, obviously, if I can have a surf while on holiday, a bonus. But it doesn't. Yeah, like if I go on a snowboarding trip, I'm not expecting to surf. So.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Well, speaking of deserted islands, which 3 former players wouldn't you want to be on one with, and why? Wouldn't want to be on one.
Bo Ryan.
Okay.
Travis Burns. Third one's probably hard. Those two just sprung to mind as the biggest pests of the team. So I'll just keep it at 2.
Okay.
That'd be enough to kill me. So
what do they get up to at the clubs that you play for?
They're just the real chirpy blokes, and just I never had an issue with them, but they would drive everyone wild, And I'm like, if I was stuck in a room, then people just can't sit still or be quiet.
Yeah.
So I like quiet and I like my own time, so I wouldn't get either with them.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Don't blame you then. Who would be the most famous person you'd love to meet, either dead or alive?
Oh, that's a bloody hard one because I'm a real history buff, so I'd love to go back in time for certain people. You've really stumped me with that one.
How far in history are we talking?
I was always a real modern history, like World War II and One.
Okay.
I love the ancient Egyptians and Mayans and Incans and all that sort of stuff. I was always fascinated by history, so I maybe even going back to the day of Galileo or someone like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Vinci maybe.
Nice. What's your specialty dish in the kitchen or on the barbecue?
Oh, well, I cooked that much spag bowl during my career because I'd always eat game, so I do a good spag bowl. But lately my signature dish has probably been, a good lamb shoulder, slow cooked, something like that.
Nice. And the last one, who's your favourite musician or band to listen to?
Oh, that's a tough one because I've got so many genres I like. I was just listening to Creedence Clearwater before, but then I had Nirvana on and punk music, and I grew up obviously surfing and that. It was heavy into punk as a kid, but I love country music. I love old music. I love heavy metal. That's a bloody hard one too.
Don't worry, save for myself. I'm more of a Aussie rock band's favourite. Chisel, In Excess, Australian Crawl, Midnight Oil. Yeah, the list just goes on.
Again, good music's good music. I don't care about the genre. So,
I'm just going to sneak in another one here. Who did you have a pump up song before playing at all, or how did you warm up in the sheds? Like, was there something that got you going?
I used to try and just lay down and close my eyes, but I'd always have I generally have more like Rage Against the Machine, Slayer, Metallica, that sort of stuff on. But that was not so much pump up. I found that music really relaxing. So
okay, fair enough.
But also I can pump up to it if I haven't listened to it much lately. If I put it on, it gets me pretty amped. But I always just found that music so calming in a way.
Yeah, fair enough. I know when I play Enter Sandman, it's a bit of a pump up song, but. Certainly wouldn't relax me.
Yeah.
But, Michael Gordon, thank you very much for joining me today on the Parra Cave podcast. I watched all of your career play out, and you played at the club that I love, the Parramatta Eels. So, really enjoyed the chat today, and all the best in the future. Thank you very much for coming on the Parra Cave podcast today.
Thanks for having me. It was good. I enjoyed doing those little trips down memory lane, so I don't do it much. So it was nice. Thank you.
How you going, mate? Are you a Parra Cave podcast listener?
I am, bro. It's a great podcast. Everyone tune in.
Go Parra. Well, welcome back, and thanks for listening to Michael and his rugby league and life story. Certainly was a very interesting one, and looks like he is in a happy space at the moment, and it was good to hear that he enjoyed talking about going back down memory lane and talking about his rugby league career. So we wish Michael all the best in his life at the moment and in the future, and hopefully one day we'll catch up and say good day. Always good to catch up with guests of the Parra Cave podcast. Now, thank you very much for listening, and a word about our sponsors now. We've got major sponsor Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available in the club shop at Parramatta Eels Club. Perfect for that beer lover or Eels fan as well. Just drop into the club shop and get yours today. Keep an eye on the Parramatta Eels Club socials on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, as well as there are sometimes some specials on Jack's Pale Ale. So keep an eye open for those as well. Bo Cook from Loan Market, his contact number is 0401 213 236. Get in contact with him for a free chat and see how he and his team can help you get on top of your home loan, find you that best deal, and hopefully make your life a little bit easier during these difficult times. So, great team there at Loan Market. Contact Bo, tell him that the Parra Cave podcast sent you, and see what he can do for you. Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty. Look, if you want the 5-star service, then Shannon is a 5-star real estate agent that you are looking for in the Glenmore Park and Penrith LGA areas. So if you want to get in contact with him, 0421 588 445. And tell him also that the Parra Cave podcast sent you as well. BTZD Teamwear, the official apparel sponsor of the Parra Cave podcast. Head to www.btzd.com.au. Check out their range of team sportswear. See what they can do for you. Most seasons are now coming to an end, especially the winter sports. The summer sports are about to start up, so check out their range of team sportswear. Tell them that the Parra Cave podcast sent you there, and see what they can do for you as well. Please support these businesses that support the podcast each and every week, that help bring you quality entertainment, and share the loves on socials as well. Once again, a quick reminder about the Parra Cave podcast merchandise that I have available for purchase. The Parra Cave podcast hats, $10 each, plus postage and handling. Just simply order yours. Just simply send me a message on one of the social media channels, or also send an email to the Parra Cave podcast at yahoo.com, and I will get that one out to you as well. And don't forget to support the podcast by posting the pictures on socials as well of you wearing your podcast hat. That will, by purchasing a hat, it will support the podcast as well, and hopefully bring you better and more entertainment each week as well. So thank you very much for supporting the podcast by purchasing your hat. I really appreciate it. Once these ones are gone, I'm hoping to look at getting some more made up, and who knows what those ones will look like. So let's get these ones out of the way. Let's sell these ones, post them up, and thank you very much for your support. Also, in the polo shirt range from BTZD Clothing, I have 1 XL and 2 larges left for purchase, just $25 each. Same deal, just email the podcast or send a message on social media, and we will get that one out to you. $25 plus postage and handling. Thank you very much for your support of the podcast. Now, thank you to you, the listeners, as well, for listening each and every week. I know there is some pretty much core listeners around the place, especially in Australia as well. I really appreciate the support there. So thank you in different parts of Australia. So thank you very much for your support and listening to podcasts. I hope you're really enjoying it. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the podcast on your podcast platform that you listen to, and give it a 5-star rating and review. It would be really, really appreciated if you could do that, and I appreciate the support. So thank you very much for that as well. Don't forget, you can catch me on Pulse FM 89.9 FM Friday and Sunday nights, so keep an ear out for that one. And there is some international football coming out on the TV screens being played this weekend on Australia and Samoa. I think there's New Zealand and PNG, there's Fiji and Cook Islands as well, that are playing in the Pacific Championships. So keep an eye open for that one, and it will be certainly great to see having some rugby league being played in the off-season, I guess you could call it. Also, for those that are available to attend, there is a charity rugby league game being played between some legends of rugby league, and it is for the Carl Webb Foundation. So it's a charity game for them being played on Saturday, the 14th of October, getting ahead of myself there, at KO Stadium, so Dolphins' home ground there at Redcliffe. So main game kicks off at 3 p.m. Now, have a listen to some of these legends of rugby league that are playing. There is a massive list here. On one side, the motor neurone disease legends team, the Carl Webb Foundation team. You've got players like Ben Barber, Brenton Bowen, Matt Bowen, Petro Sivanasiva, Greg Inglis, Dallas Johnson, Darren Smith, Brad Thorne, Willie Tonga, Lottie Takiri, Adrian Vowles, Jarrell Yalyi as well. So some great names there, and coached by Andrew McCulloch, and versing the Huntington's Queensland Legends team. So this team is coached by Ryan James, but some of the names on this side: Greg Bird, former podcast guest, Todd Carney, Will Chambers, Jamie Feeney, Matt Geyer, Ben Hampton, Scotty Hill, Josh Hoffman, former podcast guest, Josh Maguire, Steve Menzies, Ben Roberts, Mark Tukey, former podcast guest and great bloke, and that team is coached by Ryan James. So tickets are only $15 for adults, I think $10 for kids, and that is at Dolphins Oval, KO Stadium, up there at Redcliffe on Saturday as well. So if you can get to that one and support the Carl Webb Foundation and Huntington's Queensland, then that will be great. I wish I could get up there to Queensland to watch this game, because it will be a great game. So if you can get up there to watch it, then that will be great, and support both of those charities. But that's enough of me for now. Have a great week as best you can. Enjoy the footy on the weekend. And please follow the podcast on the social media channels for some interesting content and to see who's coming up next. And also some interesting content and to see who's coming up next on the podcast. Little bits and pieces here and there. But to sign off the show, and as I always say, the Parra Cave podcast, by the fan, for the fans. Go Parra!
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Parra Podcast. See you next time.